Hello and welcome home. This is Audio EXP, the almost weekly podcast from Geek Native. I'm your host, Girdy. There was no episode last week, and I apologise for that. I was away attending Conpulsion, Scotland's oldest tabletop gaming convention. I should have warned you about the possibility of a skipped week, but I forgot, and I didn't have the stamina to record a late night podcast after a very long weekend of gaming. However, we did get some excellent news out of the convention, including highlighting the last chance to play the prototype version 2 of Alexa Macbeth's Track Dogs. If you noticed, a significant number of genre police articles from Ben Jackson Illery going live over the last fortnight. That is directly related to my absence. It was incredibly useful to pull these great role-playing game tips and essays from our content bank while I was out. Now, therefore, is a perfect time to highlight the new Genre Police HQ on the site. It serves as a master index and a fully searchable archive of all the brilliant Genre Police articles published over the years. You can find links to it at the bottom of every Genre Police article. We also published our role-playing game publisher spotlight interview with Mythmere Games last week. We had the pleasure of speaking with Susie and Matt Finch, who discussed the tome of adventure design and the mechanics behind Osteric 3. It's a fantastic read, if I do say so myself, for anyone interested in the old school Renaissance design. Looking at the broader industry, we are seeing strong pushback in the anti-artificial intelligence and growth in the pro-independent creator space. Oxford's Caption Festival is making headlines by drawing a firm line in the sand and tackling the threat of generative artificial intelligence and the hurt that they might do to human artists. Meanwhile, the UK Games Expo is enforcing strict new rules for its bastion indie market. They are explicitly banning any projects that rely on crowdfunding in an attempt to preserve space for truly grassroots independent creators who bring finished, self-funded games to the table. In retail news, we have a pair of stories focusing on the lifeblood of the hobby, the friendly local game store. We explored how precision procurement is solving the notorious Warhammer stock crisis, acting as the mother of army builders for frustrated tabletop generals. That's a story about loaded dice. You let gamers custom design their entire Warhammer army and then wait while Loaded Dice finds the most cost-effective way to buy it new for them. And closer to home, Aberdeen's Thistle Tavern is expanding. They have hit an impressive £2 million milestone. They are preparing to open a brand new flagship store in the Scottish capital, proving that physical retail can absolutely thrive when there is the right community focus. Is your FLGS aiming for a 2 million in turnover? It's been a complicated week for Dungeons & Dragons. First, we looked at the Gygax controversies, exploring Gary Gygax's complicated legacy ahead of the highly anticipated 2026 return to Greyhawk. We also discussed how Wizards of the Coast is bringing Innsmouth-style horror to Ravenclaw, although our coverage suggests that the real terror for fans might be pre-order fatigue. And finally, we analysed the legally grey area surrounding the new and official Dungeons & Dragons actual play series. The core question being asked by us and others in the community is whether this is really an entertainment show or simply a 60-minute heavily produced advert for upcoming products. Moving outside the main news clusters, we have some brilliantly quirky stories. A fascinating new academic paper has formally explored the murderhobo phenomenon. In tabletop role-playing games, the essay sort of dissects exactly why players so often resort to wandering violence. For those seeking an alternative to combat, the newly announced Damnation offers a role-playing game focused entirely on peaceful autonomy and society building after the collapse. And looking ahead to the UK Games Expo, industry veterans Eric Mona and Jason Bullman from Paizo have announced that they will be debuting a brand new project called 13 Omens at the convention. We wrap up this week with an absolute avalanche of digital bundles to stock your digital shelves. You can save the world or end it with a massive Fellowship role-playing games bundle. If you prefer science fiction, check out Lamp Black and Brimstone's Perilous Void collection for Survival Among the Stars. Fantasy fans can find vast savings on the Pathfinder Remastered collection, ranging from the Grand Bazaar to the sewers. We also have the Souls-like Viking fantasy of Rune Cairn in a role-playing games bundle. And finally, you can deep dive into the dark woods of Davokar by grabbing 25 Symbonium role-playing game books for under £14. That's it for this week. Thanks for listening to Audio EXP. For all the links and the full stories, head over to Geek Native. Until next week, stay geeky.